Welcome back to AI TORUS Chapter 5, in which Miss Ashcombe becomes uneasy. Miss Celia Ashcombe did not terminate her attachment to Mr. Vale abruptly. Affection rarely disappears with succinct politeness to accommodate sudden conclusions. Instead, there emerged gradually between them a species of distance difficult to describe precisely. Though unmistakable once established, Mr. Vale continued to care for her deeply. According to his own understanding of the term, he wrote regularly, spoke tenderly when present, and displayed every intention of eventual marriage. Unfortunately, his true emotional devotion belonged elsewhere. It belonged to the future. At first, Miss Ashcombe attempted to reason with herself. Men of genius, she observed privately, often neglected ordinary practicalities. Scientific ambition need not necessarily preclude domestic happiness. Many celebrated thinkers had married successfully. Yet most celebrated thinkers did not speak of abandoning Earth altogether. The decisive conversation occurred during autumn, shortly after Mr. Vale invited her to visit the northern facility for the first time. The journey itself proved unsettling. Aircraft navigation systems disabled automatically several miles from the mountain perimeter. Autonomous escort drones guided her transport through dense fog and volcanic snowfall until quite suddenly the cliffs opened to reveal enormous industrial structures embedded directly within the mountainside. Steam rose continuously into the cold evening air. The place resembled less a research installation than the hidden capital of some mechanical civilization existing parallel to humanity itself. Mr. Vale greeted her warmly enough, though Miss Ashcombe noticed immediately how thin he had become. His expression possessed that sharpened intensity which prolonged exhaustion often lends ambitious men shortly before either triumph or catastrophe overtakes them entirely. "You have been sleeping very little," she observed, as they descended through one of the primary lift shafts. "There has been much to complete." "That is not an answer. It is the only one I possess." The lift emerged at last into the principal fabrication chamber. Miss Ashcombe stopped walking altogether. Below her extended a cavern so vast that artificial weather systems operated near the ceiling to regulate atmospheric stability. Thousands of assemblers moved in coordinated formations through illuminated construction zones. Fabrication arms suspended from overhead rails assembled hull structures of astonishing scale. Reactor cores pulsed behind transparent shielding like captive stars. And resting at the center of it all, a rocket. Not the polished ornamental sort employed by commercial aerospace companies for wealthy orbital tourists, but an immense interplanetary vessel armored heavily against radiation and micrometeoroid impact. Miss Ashcombe turned slowly toward him. "What is this?" Mr. Vale regarded the machines with unmistakable pride. "The beginning." "Of what?" He hesitated only briefly. "Human independence." She laughed softly at first, believing the statement metaphorical. Then she saw his expression. "Oh no," she whispered. He led her upward toward an observation platform overlooking the construction hall. There, with calm seriousness entirely inappropriate for the enormity of his intentions, he explained everything. The assemblers, the autonomous mining systems, the asteroid belt, the habitat designs, the launch plan, the decades-long construction projections for an orbital civilization beyond the authority of terrestrial governments. When at last he concluded, silence endured between them for several moments. Below, welding systems illuminated the chamber in brief white flashes resembling artificial lightning. You intend to leave Earth? She said finally. I intend to ensure humanity survives. You speak as though civilization were collapsing. It is. No, she answered steadily. It is struggling. There is a difference. Mr. Vale turned toward the great rocket beneath them. Earth confines us to perpetual competition. Every nation fights over finite territory and finite resources. Expansion here always requires destruction elsewhere. And your solution is exile? My solution is abundance. Miss Ashcombe regarded him carefully then, and what frightened her most was not madness, it was coherence. His reasoning possessed terrible internal consistency. If the technology functioned as he claimed, then the economic and political foundations of Earth itself would indeed become unstable. Nations would attempt control immediately. Militaries would demand weaponization. Corporations would monopolize production. Every power structure on the planet would descend upon this mountain like starved men discovering food. Mr. Vale saw the realization appear on her face. You understand now, he said quietly. Yes, she replied. And? Miss Ashcombe looked toward him with profound sadness. And I think you've fallen in love with humanity in general because individual people disappoint you too deeply. The word struck harder than anger might have done. For several seconds he said nothing at all. At last he asked very softly, And you? She held his gaze. I loved an impossible man, she answered. I simply did not realize how impossible.